Hi everyone, it's Monique at Butterbee Scraps, and I'm here to do the second video in my charm tutorial series. And what I'm going to focus on in this video is making loops, and I use two basic loops in my charms. The first is called the P loop and looks like this. The second one is called a wrap loop and looks like that. So let's start with the P loop. First, we are obviously going to need a piece of wire. So what I do is I use my flush cutters to cut a short length off the spool, and I take the flat side or the flush side, and I always have it facing the spool. And this is just my rule of thumb so I can be consistent. So I know every time I cut a length of wire off my spools, I'm going to have a flat end and the pointed end. Once you have your piece of wire, you can see it's slightly curved there from being on the spool. So this is where I use my nylon jaw pliers to straighten the wire out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but see, that's a lot straighter now. So to start this P loop, you want to work from the square end, the non-pointed end. And you use your round nose pliers, take your round nose pliers in your dominant hand, and grab the end of your wire. And where you grab it along the length of these round nose pliers really depends on the diameter you want your loop. So a little bit of trial and error and you'll figure out a good spot that you want to use. I'm going to go, I don't know, looks like maybe 1/4 of an inch down. Okay, so once you have that wire in there, what you do to make a nice round loop is you don't grab the end of the wire and start wrapping. That'll mess you up. What you do instead is push from the base and wrap your wire around your pliers. Okay, now what you want to do is continue to wrap until the square end of your wire kind of touches the tail here. And what you're going to have to do is, because I can't quite do that from where I'm holding, loosen off your pliers, rotate the wire around, make sure that loop is pushed down as far as you can on those round nose pliers, and just continue to push until that square end of the wire touches the tail. So now you've got this P looking loop, and you think, okay, that's kind of a funny looking loop, it's off center. And you're right, it is off center. So what we need to do is bend the tail of the wire so that it comes straight down from this joint. So again, with your round nose pliers in your dominant hand, what I do is I grab right at the end here, as close to the joint as I can, and if I turn it this way, you can see I'm holding the wire right at the end of the pliers. I want a really, really small radius here. And again, with my non-dominant hand, I'm going to push from the base until that tail comes straight down from the end. Now sometimes you'll end up with a little gap between the square end of the wire and the tail. That's easy to fix. I just stick my round nose pliers in there again and just give a slight twist. Tighten it up there. Another thing you might notice is your loop is kind of bent at a bit of an angle. And to fix that, I grab my nylon jaw pliers and I just give this a squeeze or two to flatten it out. And that's your basic P loop. Now the nice thing about the P loop is you can open and close it quite easily to attach other charms to it. And the way you do that is just like you would open a jump ring. So you need 2 pairs of your chain nose pliers. Okay, grab that end of the loop, this end, and you just twist. So I'm actually twisting down, and you'll see that opens the loop, and you can actually slip another charm on there, and then all you do is twist it back. Never ever open the loop, because what you'll end up doing is you'll end up ruining that nice round shape of the loop. Same when you close it, should look nice and round. Okay, so let's do the wrapped. We'll do the wrapped loop now. I'm just going to straighten the other end of this wire. Now the wrapped loop is slightly different. What you want to do is use your chain nose pliers, and I typically grab the ones with the bent end, and I grab this wire, oh, I don't know, how far is that? That's about 3/4 of an inch down from the end of the wire. Can always add a little bit more just to be safe. And what I do is you then, with your non-dominant hand, you bend the end of the wire around your chain nose pliers until it's at about an 80-degree angle. You don't want it quite at 90 degrees, but almost. Then you're going to grab your round nose pliers in your dominant hand again, and you want to grab it right where that bend is, and go down from the end a little bit depending on the diameter of loop you want again. Using your non-dominant hand, again, you wrap the wire around your pliers. This time you're going to continue wrapping until this tail is at a 90-degree angle to this tail. So what you're going to have to do is loosen off, rotate the wire, grab the loop again with your round nose pliers, and continue to wrap this loop. Okay. Now what I do is I change hands. I put my round nose pliers in my non-dominant hand, make sure that loop is pushed down as far as you can, tighten it. Now most of the literature you'll read will say use your dominant hand to wrap this wire tail around this tail. I don't do that, just because I find it really hard working so close to the end of the pliers and getting the loops nice and tight. It's just very difficult. So what I do is I'll usually use my bent chain nose pliers, and I'll grab the end and I put some tension on it, so I'm pulling as I wrap. And you want to wrap this 2 or 3 times. So now what I want to do is cut this little tail off. So I use my flush cutters, and I go in as tight as I can and cut that off. Now just a bit of an aside here. When you're cutting wire, especially little bits like that, they quite often go flying across the room. So if you do not wear glasses, it's probably a good idea to wear some safety glasses, because the last thing you want is a piece of wire in the eye. So just a little safety tip there. So now you can see I cut the end of the wire, but it's kind of sticking out a little bit. I don't know if you can see that or not. So what I do is I put my loop back on my round nose pliers, hold it in place in my non-dominant hand, and this is where I like my standard chain nose pliers, and I just kind of squish and wrap the end of that wire, tuck it in, so you get a nice clean finish on that. And what I'll do is I'll look at the loop from the side. Sometimes it needs just a little tweak to straighten it out. This one looks pretty good, and I would just leave it as is. So there you have it. You've got your P-loop and your wrap loop. So what I'll do is I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again, and we'll start putting all the materials, tools, and loops together to make some charms. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.